I wouldn't be who I am without you. You fill my eyes up with color, and you'll always be my mother. I wouldn't be who I am.
You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Keith Cheatham.
That's right, guys. We're back for another fantastic episode of the Red Moon Podcast.
Is it fantastic?
It always is. I wanted a little shout out there at the beginning of the show for our mothers.
Yeah, you got me a little choked up.
A little choked up there, Sean.
I was going to shed a tear.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
You know, it's like, hey, it's Mother's Day coming up on Sunday.
Mommy.
Wanted to tell our moms.
We
love you.
I love how the pictures are all not recent.
Yeah, no.
Because it's like recently we haven't taken pictures with our mommies.
And that's terrible.
That's not too bad. I mean, it's like, look, that's just normal. It's like, I mean, I can't tell you the last time I took a picture of my family in general, but it's just...
I can tell you the last time I took a picture of my family.
When?
Christmas.
Okay, all right, you got
That was
me.
the last time he had a day off.
Yeah.
Too true.
Yeah, it's true.
But no, we wanted to say Happy Mother's Day to our moms.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure in a few, another month or so when we have Father's Day.
Oh, we're doing
we'll
that.
say
Okay.
Happy Father's Day as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like,
well, it's Mother's Day first. Let's not skip the mamas.
no,
Let's
absolutely
skip the
not, absolutely not. But
We
just
completely
throwing
forgot
out
to
the
throw
love.
a picture of Jesus up there
Ooh.
for Easter.
Well, then wouldn't it be Mary? Mother
He said
Mary?
for Easter.
Oh,
it's
Easter.
not her day.
Easter, yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry.
You are a
I'm stuck on Mother's Day. I'm stuck on Mother's Day.
Okay.
What can I say?
Yeah, moms are cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
They didn't die
yeah.
for our sins, but they gave birth to
They
us.
didn't
so.
abort us. They didn't abort us, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Actually, it was funny. I saw a funny joke on Facebook that was like,
Yeah?
it was a little greeting card, and he left it for his mom, and he said, "Hey, Mom, you wouldn't have Mother's Day without me, so I'm waiting for my present." So
That's
like,
good.
That's pretty good. Well, no, we do have a great show for everybody out there listening, watching the Red Moon Podcast.
Watch.
Got a good review this week on
Do
a
we?
sort of.
It's a good review for a mediocre movie.
Right,
Yeah.
that's the problem. The
Yeah.
problem right now is that it's very popular in I think culturally, and kind of like Bird Box was when it hit.
Yeah.
Well, it was.
It's not quite as big as Bird Box.
It was trending
but-
before the movie ever released. To be
Yeah.
fair, I mean, and plus it's about a figure that there's been a lot of public interest
Yeah.
in
Yes.
anyway.
To be honest, like the trailer for it looked good.
Yeah,
It
well,
did.
and honestly, the main character, the main actor,
Yeah, yeah.
he looked to be playing a fantastic version of that role.
Yeah.
And if you haven't, may not know, but Netflix released this film. This is extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile.
Are you sure
Did I
that's
say,
how
did
it
I
goes?
say, did I say that
I
right?
think that's
Shockingly
right.
wicked and
Shockingly
extremely
vile and extremely
No. Goodness
Yes.
gracious, you too.
We all said it wrong.
We did. No,
intentionally.
it's extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and
And
vile.
vile.
That's what it is.
That's what
That's
I
the
said.
one.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's
it
what I
is.
said the
It's
first
what
time.
he said. It's what he said.
That's not entirely
Listen,
accurate.
But it's a long
It
enough
is.
title that I was like, I don't want to put that on our lower
Yeah,
because when
No.
we actually review it, I'm
I
like-
in my review, I just say extremely wicked for most
and a lot
of
of people are calling
So,
it that.
yeah,
They're
well-
just calling it.
Well, they just call it the Ted Bundy movie.
the Ted Bundy.
True.
But I thought, and it's funny thing is, this director made both the documentary that aired on Netflix and this movie.
Yeah.
The
But I
documentary
felt
was good.
I felt the documentary was
Yeah.
way better. But we're gonna get into it.
Yeah,
Let's,
yeah.
Listen
I
to
mean,
the review.
Exactly. Let's
Yeah.
just jump right into it.
People have always had a morbid curiosity for serial killers. It's not that we admire or praise them, but to learn what the face of true evil is,
and see how terrifyingly similar it is to our own is something far more horrifying than any monster or killer out of a novel or film could ever be. Hollywood is well aware of this, and that's why so many documentaries and biopics have been made based off real-life serial killers. One such documentary, Conversations with the Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes, intrigued its producers and director, Netflix and Joe Berlinger, so much that they also created a biopic that would release just a few months after the documentary. This biopic would go on to itself attract much attention for good and ill. This is Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. Extremely Wicked, of course, tells the story of Ted Bundy, the masked rapist and murderer who committed 30 murders during the 70s. Starring Zac Efron as Ted Bundy, the film mainly revolves around Bundy's relationship with his girlfriend at the time, Liz, portrayed by Lily Collins, and his trial for the murders he committed. The film's goal is to show how normal and charismatic Bundy was, and how many women who knew him fell for him, and how it was this normality and his charm that allowed him to get away with so many murders for as long as he did. The movie opens with Bundy already incarcerated for his crimes. Liz visits Bundy, asking him if he remembers the night they met. The movie then cuts to the very night, an adorable display of two people meeting by chance, almost as if the movie were a romantic comedy, instead of the biopic of a mass murderer. This in and of itself isn't necessarily bad, as it does display Bundy as the guy you'd want to be friends with. Bundy had charisma. As the film goes on, though, Bundy never sets aside this mask. We see him arrested and tried, but we never see him perform or even think about performing the heinous crimes for which he was executed. Now, this may all play into the film's narrative and even reflect the past where many people who witnessed the televised trial of Ted Bundy could not believe he was a killer. In this regard, the film succeeds in truly displaying how remarkable it was to the world to learn that true evil doesn't come announced. Yet, it's hard to get behind this film. While I admire the fact that it displays Bundy as he was in public, I feel this almost romanticized the man, something I'm sure director Joe Berlinger, who so skillfully made the Ted Bundy tapes, didn't intend. The problem is without showcasing Bundy's evil side, you almost root for the character who's so appalling. This isn't a work of complete fiction, but is instead rooted in real events, and we do a disservice to those who fell victim to this man when we fail to properly condemn him. Scenes depicting Ted's escape from prison likewise feel like a fictional prison film where one almost roots for the inmate to escape, a la Shawshank Redemption, and fails to emphasize the fact that Ted's escaping led to the deaths of several more victims. The movie itself isn't bad, the acting is fine if nothing special, and Efron looks the part and does act well as Bundy's more romantic public persona, though he doesn't quite hit the more disturbing and awkward sides of the real Bundy seen on tape in Berlinger's documentary. The set pieces, costume design, and overall production are adequate, nothing to write home about, but they are accurate and get the job done. Overall, Extremely Wicked is just an okay film, which is fine as long as the message of Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile is coming across. Instead, pleasant, charming, handsome, and shockingly light on the evil is what we get. I give Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile 2 out of 4 stars.
Oh man, there you have it, guys. 2 out of 4 stars.
Yeah.
For
The background music
that-
says it all.
it really does. It's that dismal.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great pick for our Mother's Day weekend.
Let's hear from Keith.
I'm
Wow.
sorry.
That was it. That was it.
That's what I looked like last night watching it.
I just no, I agree.
Nothing.
It was like I said, it started out and like the scenes of him and meeting the character and the start of their relationship. I was like, this is fine because like again I said in the review that he did for all intents and purposes seem normal. I mean, people couldn't believe that Ted Bundy was this mass serial
Right.
killer.
Yeah.
They didn't expect that to be a guy who was evil. And I'm fine with that being, part of the message because that is something that people need to learn and take home with them is that evil comes in all shapes and sizes. It's not exactly who you might think it is. But the problem is they never show him as actually being the evil man he was.
Right, exactly.
Do you think that was intentional though in the filmmaking? There's so many Ted Bundy movies and documentaries and miniseries and things out there that really show the carnage.
Well, I was gonna say, I think to kind of hit on what Keith was bringing up there in the sense that it's like, yeah, I think part of it was intentional. That it was like, I think it was just trying to go along with the idea of getting you to believe he was innocent, like everybody else was fooled.
Yeah.
And for you to kind of follow along with that story. And actually, that was the problem that I had with Zac Efron's acting. Was ultimately, I thought he was convincing enough as like a nice, casual young guy. But if you watch any of the Ted Bundy documentaries or any of the interviews that he did on camera,
Right. Yeah.
you find out really quick that the dude was
Messed
off
up.
his rocker.
Oh, yeah.
And like some of the things he would say, and he was very verbose, and he was also very much like he intentionally, yes, would try to mislead you, but also try to make you think he was heartwarming, but almost to it was an unsettling type of feeling that you would get when you'd watch him trying to be charming. Like you wouldn't get the idea that he was maybe to your average Joe, but the moment he was under court watch or the moment he was in prison, it's like you could easily sit there and see him and be like, no, something's off with this guy.
But one of the things
off.
about Ted Bundy was that, and I think they displayed it pretty well in the movie, was a lot of men knew he was guilty. Women seemed to be the ones that just couldn't believe it. And it was part of that was his charm and his charisma, and
He was a
he
good-looking guy.
wasn't a bad looking guy.
Yeah.
And that was something that they found hard. But if you notice in the movie, like Osment's what's his Haley
Joe Osment.
his character is immediately he knows the guy's guilty. The detectives immediately they know he's guilty. Well, they've seen what he's done.
Right.
But it seemed like the male characters were very quick to kind of catch on. This guy's, like you just said, there's something off.
Yeah.
There's something off-putting about the guy. It's almost like you can sense the evil. But women had the hardest time. I mean, he was married. He had conjugal visits with multiple women.
Yeah.
In this movie, it just shows two. But, I mean, he had women coming in every other day to prison. I mean, he was – and that's just who he was.
I was going to say, and I think, too, not only that, but it was also the fact that it's like – the charm helped out in the sense that
the guards let him do it.
Well, the guards let him do it,
yeah.
but I also think that was part of the movie. It was telling. It almost felt like it had that feeling that it was telling it from the perspective of Lily Collins' character.
Yeah,
because it was almost like they. I mean, even when the detective walks up to the door after he's escaped and is like, if he does come here or if you're trying to hide him or blah blah blah, and he's like, here, this might be some evidence that you want to look into. And they save it for the whole movie, and this isn't a spoiler or anything. I mean, this is all historic. You can look it up.
Right.
But it's like they save it for the end of the movie that she never really looks in the envelope. Now, I don't know if that's true to life or if they even had given her.
I don't know
I'm sure
about
they
that.
showed her crime scene photos, and it wasn't some envelope. But in the movie, they portray it as if she never looks at this envelope, she never opens it up, and basically uses that as a way to be like, I don't know what he's done, but I don't want to know until he's proven guilty to even think that he's done these things. And so it's like the movie's trying to tell you this image or sell you this image of, well, we don't want you to have necessarily all the pieces of the puzzle because we want you to come at it from the perspective that a lot of other people saw when he was on trial, that he was innocent. The problem is after two escaped, two escapes from prison or from custody and from jail, and then not only that, but after both those times escaping,
He killed more
people
people.
ended up dead. I'm like, how could you not see that it was this guy?
Yeah.
And especially once he escapes, and it's like he ends up fleeing down to Florida, and then
kills people down
kills
there.
people
yeah.
down there. I'm like,
Yeah.
the moment he gets caught, it's just like, come on. It's like
It's like everywhere he goes, people die.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
what more
Right.
evidence do you need?
Right.
And of course, like it wasn't until I think years later that the teeth.
They found the
evidence that they
teeth,
used that it
bowl of
wasn't
his teeth
proper
on-
in terms of using it to accuse him, or that it wasn't proper forensics at the time.
Yeah.
But then again, we're talking about a time too. I think that was the other thing they tried to really sell in this movie was the reason these women clung to him and the reason they were just caught up in his charm and how handsome he was because at the time in that period of America's history, it's like you didn't have this thing called a serial killer.
They didn't have a
It was-
profile for people
right.
like that. Yeah.
And so it was like, this was a nice guy. This was somebody you would take home to mom. This was somebody you couldn't believe would do something like that. So I do think that was part of the storytelling in the film, and I think they very much tried to play
this guy could
that
have been
up.
Brandon.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah. I'm a serial killer.
Yeah.
I believe it.
They are. Their
I mean,
bodies are.
you're not allowed to go within 500 yards of a school.
I live right.
So-
I live.
You're
There's
on
a school
the line.
like 500
You're
yards
on
away.
the line. It's like
I'm right on the
501.
line. Well, hey, I play it close to the chest.
But yeah, 2 out of 4 stars. I didn't think. I mean, I didn't think it was terrible, but just the fact that I felt like it was just a little too overly romanticized,
Yeah.
and that even putting aside that, the fact that like it wasn't bad, but it was just kind of an average film anyways. Then you add the fact that they never even like demonized the man who murdered.
Yeah,
30
that
people.
was the main issue that I had with
Yeah.
it, and I'm just like, the guy did
Yes.
horrible things, and you're not showcasing any of that other than these brief like newsreels
Yeah.
of. And granted that those were actual historical newsreels and
Yeah.
stuff like that. I liked that, but it was like that's not enough to show what the man did.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like there's an earlier movie from 2002 that came out that was much better than this movie, and it showcased what he did. I mean, almost every victim, it shows how he got him, how he got him in the car, how he beat him, where he left him. I mean, it's very. And by the end of the movie, when he gets the chair, like you're glad.
Yes.
And at the end of this movie, you're just kind of like,
Did he really deserve it?
right? Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
yeah,
it's
and
like
I hate that.
mean, hey,
Hacksaw.
hacksaw.
I wanted him to write Jim Duggins.
Exactly. That was the first thing I thought. I was like, hacksaw
Ridge.
Jim Duggan.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge.
But no, I think you're right
Every
on.
time I
Sean.
hear hacksaw, I think like bonesaw for a second.
Bonesaw
ready.
Yep.
But no, I completely agree. I think that was the biggest issue with the film is and I know the director came out and spoke against the people who thought it played soft.
Yeah.
But it's like if that's what everybody is getting when they watch this movie, it's
Yeah.
just that you don't showcase enough of the evil that he is. It's like
And like I said, I mean, he made the documentary series,
Yeah.
which was wonderful. So I don't think it was his intention to like
No,
to
to-
romanticize
right.
it. But that is what he did. And I mean, whether he can defend it all he wants, but I mean, if that's what everybody's walking away with, then he made a mistake. And like I said, I don't think he did it intentionally, but still, it's there. I mean,
I was gonna say honestly, the biggest thing I could say for this film, truth be told, is to me it's 2 out of 4 stars, which we mostly would say is
I agree.
average. It's not bad, but for the most part, I'm not gonna lie, I think it's a pass.
yeah,
There's so much more. Like it's weird, but I think everybody does kind of have that fascination with like what makes a serial killer tick. And it's like if you really want to know, or if you want to investigate further, there's so many good, so many better documentaries and movies out there that are. I mean, even Zodiac is another fantastic movie that you could watch. That's about a serial killer. It's like there's just better content out there for this
Well,
kind of thing if you're into it.
Exactly, and as a film, just like we said, sometimes 2 out of 4 stars doesn't necessarily have to be bad. But
In
with
this
this,
case,
Yeah.
it's so many. It's like,
Yeah.
like you said, I'd pass it up and I wouldn't rewatch it because there's nothing I can get from it. It's like even worse film. Like I would watch Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom again, just because even though that's
It's
a
entertaining.
even though it's a
fun.
1-star movie, you're
Yeah.
gonna laugh like at
Right.
how terrible it is.
Right,
So it's
right.
like sometimes 2-star isn't great because you know it has no like entertainment merit.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
It's average, but it's just like
Yeah.
There's
it's
no
not-
reason to watch it.
no
Like,
reason to watch
Rotten
it. yeah.
Tomatoes has 56 and 59 for critics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost equal
Yeah,
for viewers and critics, which is that's a pretty good consensus that it's a
Yes,
crap
it's-
movie.
Exactly.
Certified
That
rotten.
it's exactly
so.
that about half and half. You're
Yeah.
you're like
It's sitting there
it's
right at that.
lukewarm.
Yeah,
it's not.
it's like, yeah, some
I mean
people
that
enjoy,
fits
some
right
don't.
on our scale. 2 out of 4
Yeah,
stars.
it does.
Yeah.
So definitely just no reason to check it out.
Meh.
I'd say
Yeah,
pass.
watch the documentary if you
Yeah.
really want to get on Netflix and see something about Ted Bundy that really showcases what he did. The documentary's great.
Yeah. So I guess man, that was a quick wrap up there.
That was a quick wrap.
Now,
wrap
Sean,
up. But you know what?
You
We've
saw
seen-
another
yeah,
movie this week
Yeah.
that
I
you
see a
wanted to
few.
talk about.
I see a few every now and then.
But this is an
Every
unofficial review. We
It's
don't
an
have a
unofficial
formal
review.
review.
Yeah, I posted about it on Instagram and social media and stuff. But I wanted to go see it when it was in theaters, but there were some other big movies that came out with my stubs. I used it for other movies and just never got a chance to see this while it was in theaters. But it's Fighting with My Family.
Yes.
And it's actually a film that was produced by The Rock, and it's if you're a wrestling fan from like the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, like with Stone Cold and The Rock,
when
and
it was good.
yeah, when it was good, you know.
Attitude Era.
If you're a fan of that kind of stuff, which I mean, I used to watch Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
All the time. Now I've kind of I don't want to say I've grown out of it, but I don't really. It's not entertaining to me anymore.
Not, yeah, I
But at
agree.
one point when I was a teenager, that was everything to me.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I loved
exactly.
it. But the movie was really good. It's basically a true story. Paige was that's her wrestling name. She was the youngest diva champion in WWE history. She came in right at 18 years old, and on her first live Monday Night Raw, she took the belt from I don't even know the ladies, the other person's name.
Is this recent?
No, this was
what,
like
what is this? I don't. Is
this was
like,
back when The Rock was The Rock.
Oh
Like,
wow, okay.
Yeah. So she came in, but
Is this like real history?
yeah,
Like,
no, it's
okay.
real. Yeah,
It's a true
it's based on
story,
a true
I
true
did not
wrestler.
know that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So it's a female wrestler, and Florence Pugh plays Paige. She's in some other movies. She was actually in the Netflix movie with Chris Pine, the one about Scotland.
Oh yes.
The King.
Yeah.
What was it called?
King something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't
know.
remember.
The King and I.
The one about William Wallace's death and all that stuff.
Yes.
But anyway, it's got Nick Frost. It's got Lena Headey, which is very. The movie made me forget that she was the evil bitch from Game of Thrones.
She's a good actress, though. She doesn't have like a lot
she
of
is.
roles, but she is a good actress.
But when I look at her face,
You can't help
even
but
when I
think.
watch 300 now, when I look at
Yeah.
her, I'm
Yes.
just like, I want her to die. Like, not in real life, but I just thought this like she needs to die in Game of Thrones. But I forgot all about her being in Game of Thrones. She was very good in this movie. Nick Frost is awesome. He's the fat guy from all the Simon
Yeah,
Pegg
yeah.
movies,
I love Nick
Shaun of the
Frost.
Dead and stuff. He's great. And I don't know the young man that plays her brother, but basically it's in the UK. Wrestling's not that big of a thing in the UK, but these ex-con parents are doing their best to raise their family and make ends meet. And they own a gym, and they do like wrestling classes and stuff like that. And they basically send tapes of their son and daughter to WWE in
Yeah.
hopes every year in hopes of
To make
getting
it.
recruited. Yeah.
Right.
And so they see the tapes, and Vince Vaughn's character, who another movie where he's funny, but he plays a serious role, and he's awesome. And he finally calls them and says, "Hey, yeah, you need to come to the States and try out." So they go, and spoiler alert, the brother doesn't make the cut, but she does. So this causes
Well,
a
they
big
show that in the trailer.
yeah. So this causes like a big rift between these really close siblings, and then he goes back home. She stays in the States, and then it shows her struggle with making the cut,
Yeah.
and then it shows his struggle with dealing with the fact that this was his dream and not his sister's dream,
Yeah.
but yet she's the one who's there and he's not. He's at home taking care of a kid, trying to get a job.
Right.
And the movie had great messages about parenting. It had great messages about chasing your dreams and how you don't always. We want to believe that if you set your mind on this one thing, you'll get it.
Yeah.
It's reality. It doesn't happen.
It's like the Red Moon podcast.
That's true.
yeah.
That's true. it's just a failure. But yeah, I mean, it's like her dream isn't her dream, but she gets there. His dream doesn't come true, but he realizes that he has a calling for something else, and even though it's not his dream, it's where he finds purpose.
Yeah.
And so it's very good messages about finding that job or that thing that gives you purpose, and not necessarily this like lifelong childhood dream. And I really loved it, though. Nick Frost is the ex-con, and he's doing everything he can to keep his family. And it's great because they look terrible. Like, they look like trailer trash.
Yeah.
But they're the most loving, compassionate, would do anything for their kids kind of parents.
Yeah.
And it's one of the other messages that really struck out to me is as soon as I see these people, I'm just like, oh, God, like, I think roaches are going to crawl out from their armpits. But I'm just
Shameless.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just like
But
that.
these people are actually not filthy people,
Yeah.
like inside, like on Shameless.
Right.
Like
These are good people.
they're good people,
Brandon.
and it's just like
I know.
looks can be extremely deceiving.
Like Ted Bundy.
And that's true. But no, check the movie out. It was really good. I gave it 3.5 out of 4.
Damn.
It's got a
Okay.
93% on Rotten
I was
Tomatoes.
gonna say I remember when it was
It is
first.
a very well received
Yeah.
movie. So if you can
It's
can
good.
check it out, yeah. I don't even know if it's on DVD yet. I acquired it another ways.
Well, nobody should know.
But yeah, it's confidential.
Nobody needs to know.
Classified.
It is one of those movies that when I saw it, the trailer for it, I thought it looked interesting.
Yeah.
But then after you touted it, and
Well, the trailer kind of makes it out to be a comedy.
yeah.
Now it does have some funny moments,
But
but
it's mostly
it's
a
very an emotional movie, and
Okay.
yeah, it's definitely a dramedy. But they like I said in my thing I posted on Instagram, it gives you this it'll get you crying at a few moments, and then it'll cut to some levity and kind of like make you laugh and wipe your tears off real quick, and then you're back in it. It does that several times, so it's really good. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I can't wait
Check
to check
it
it
out.
I can't wait to check it out. 3.5 out of 4 stars.
So we had a bad
4.
movie review, not a bad
Fighting
movie
with the
review,
Family,
a bad
yeah.
movie, and then a good movie.
Yeah.
So
That's good. That's good. So it's like we give people the
Right.
option.
It's not a
to say,
total
look,
failure.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, we can't celebrate Mother's Day with Ted Bundy. We have to
That's
have some, I
right.
mean, you have to have
That is true.
something.
I mean, he killed moms. I mean,
I
jeez.
don't know. I thought it was very heartwarming. I mean,
yeah.
What better way to give your mom a present than Zac Efron?
That's right. I
Okay,
think
I'm
Zac
just saying.
Efron has proven that
He can act.
he can act. He can.
He can.
I mean, what's God dang the circus movie?
Greatest Showman.
Greatest
That
Showman.
Was good. No,
Like
that
he was
really good.
fantastic in
Yeah,
that
he was.
movie.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I mean, far cry from Charlie St. Cloud. But
Forget about that.
yeah, but no, I hope he finds more roles
Yeah.
that can show what he can do,
I hope
and
so
not
too.
just his body, like in Baywatch.
Well, of course. Well, but the thing is I like kind of the role he's been taking on in certain films. It's like he has
The
been trying to do
Neighbors
the Channing Tatum
Yeah,
role,
yeah,
where it's like
yeah.
he's either extremely serious or he does the whole he can make fun of himself,
Oh,
even
yeah.
though he's a good
Yeah.
looking guy. And I do appreciate that. It's like a good looking dude. That's the same reason I
I
like Justin.
make fun of myself all the time.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what
well,
you're talking
I mean,
about.
when you take off that shirt each week and put on that Red Moon shirt,
It's
I'm just saying.
It's time.
it's time to move on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
All right, what's
all right,
next?
All right. So we got our
is
topic of the week,
next?
guys. You ready for our topic of the week?
I don't even know what it is.
Controversial.
My
Oh, God.
goodness.
So look, Endgame has been making all this headway in the box office.
Yeah.
One of our headlines was how much it's gonna probably be. It's gonna be king of the box office. We hope. We hope that it ends up becoming
It's
Yes.
the one to dethrone
Funny.
Avatar.
But when it first released, people were like, "It's going to be huge," but nobody predicted it could. They were like,
Huge.
But they
Huge.
we talked about it. We talked about that first podcast. We watched it. That they were saying it's going to make tons of money, but it's got a lot of competition in the summer. Whereas Avatar released in December and didn't have any competition in January, February. And they said it'll be big. It'll be maybe beat Titanic, but that's as far as it'll get. And now they're thinking, no, this thing's going to go the whole way.
It's gonna go the
And
distance.
They said it's gonna
I think-
tackle
I think
Avatar and beat it to a pulp.
Well,
I
and
hope
that's-
so.
that's really the big question. The big question is it going to beat Avatar, which is at the top? But the other news that came out this week was the fact that, and far bigger news, I think, for a lot of our listeners who know us and our watchers who know us,
I know.
we're not big fans of JC, okay?
Not Jesus Christ.
No, no,
We
no.
love
James
Jesus
Cameron.
Christ. We don't love James.
We don't even mention his name.
Oh,
Whoa.
he who shall not be named.
That's right.
name is James.
It's actually Jim.
James and the
Jim.
Jim.
He
He
goes
did. He
by
did
that.
sound.
I know.
Jim Cameron. It's like he's got to be
Cameron.
sophisticated now.
So real cool. Well, and we'll get to that in just a sec. What Keith was just referencing there. But yes, the real question is JC gonna die before Avatar releases? They've now
It's a
been pushed
possibility.
back. They've been 2, 3, and 4 have all been pushed back until 2021 is our next time we're gonna see.
We're going to be on
Avatar.
Mars before that movie
before
comes
Avatar.
out.
Yeah,
it's fun because
we're one step closer to Pandora.
It's not. It's not his
actually
fault.
be on Pandora
It's
before
not
that.
his fault or decision this time, but I still find it just so hilarious that.
Oh, yeah.
This is like the 4th time they've pushed these movies
Yes.
back, and I mean it makes sense. Disney decided to do this, and of course it's to correlate with their Marvel and Star Wars releases.
Yeah.
And like Sean pointed out in the text is now they basically have like $1 billion release every year for like the next 10 or 20 years.
because they're making 3 more Star Wars movies, and it's a new story that's going to stray away from the Skywalker saga. So probably,
they're
maybe
thinking-
not entirely,
They're
but
thinking it's either going to be the showrunners from Game of Thrones. It's either going to be their trilogy or Ryan Johnson's trilogy, or they're wondering if they're going to go every other one. and,
It
like,
better be. It better not be Ryan Johnson's trilogy.
yeah,
It
everybody's
better
going to
not
skip
be.
that year.
yeah, everybody else skip the movie.
It's going to be like,
yeah.
oh, it's 2021. I'm
But
not
yeah,
going to
I
see
mean,
Star Wars
because
this
they're-
year.
instead of releasing a Star Wars movie every year, now they're going to release them every other year.
Yeah.
Well, and
And then
that's the big
Avatar every other year, and
And then, of course, Marvel's
going
gonna
to
do its
spring and
3
summer.
movies a
Yeah.
year.
So
thing,
I was going to
whatever,
say
so-
exactly. So it's smart on their part because they basically have said, look, now that we own the rights to this, we already know that, and I think JC, I think he knows
Jim.
Man, Jim.
Jim. I guess.
Then
I'll
you
go
think
with
of The
Jim.
Office.
Jim
See, I
Cam.
think of The
Yeah.
Office.
Jim Cam.
But the thing is it's like,
It makes me think of like James Cameron with a little camera, like this is the gym cam.
The gym cam. It's 3D IMAX.
exactly innovative, groundbreaking.
It's 4D. You can smell me.
But the thing is I really do. I think that what JC is trying to do is he was already trying to be as innovative as he possibly could because, and we were talking about this a little bit with my neighbors next door, and this is our gripe with Jim Cameron, okay, is the fact that we don't think he is an innovator. We think he is just
An imitator.
an imitator.
Yeah.
And it's like the fact of the matter is I always use the example with Peter Jackson and Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, absolutely.
That when they wanted to tell that story, they were very much the understanding of the task they were taking on. And what Peter Jackson was trying to do was say, okay, we already know these stories are fantastic, and we're going to have a certain level of special effects to actually tell this story. The story was already there, set in place, and it was up to them and the creators at Weta Digital to actually be able to come in and properly tell those stories and do them justice.
They created things that had never been done before.
Exactly. And so they were innovators.
Right.
And it wasn't until Smeagol pops up on camera and is shown as this all digital character, but is still lifelike and believable, that Jim comes in here and says, huh,
That's possible.
that's possible. Yeah, exactly.
Well, then he says, I've had this story for 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
But the technology was never there for me to do it.
Exactly.
And I'm like, so basically you waited for someone else to come up with the technology.
Exactly.
But see, like you're saying with Peter Jackson, they said, well, the technology's not there, so let's make it.
Exactly.
Well, same thing with Star Wars. Star Wars, all of the Star Wars is known as the movie that created and special effects. Like there wasn't special effects companies until George Lucas made them. He didn't have the technology to tell those stories, but he made the technology just like Peter Jackson. So it is kind of odd. The man that did Terminator was like, you know what? We invented the special effects to make the T-1000 in Terminator 2, the liquid metal. It's like he was innovative with that, but for some reason he was just like, you know what? That was a big struggle, and I'm not even going to attempt trying.
And he
that
actually, that technology, like the liquid thing, that was actually in The Abyss.
Yeah.
Like if you ever saw that movie, the way he makes the water and stuff come to life in that movie is the same technology he used for the T-1000. So I mean, he came up with it, but even then
he just reused it.
He reused the same thing. He didn't come up with something new.
Exactly. So I mean, that to me has been the biggest issue with James Cameron, and the fact that he has had the top 2 highest grossing films in the last decade or 2 decades, and with Titanic, thankfully now being dethroned, it is no longer the second highest grossing film of all time. But then, of course, with Avatar. And Titanic, we've always ranted and raved about not being such a terrible movie, but for it to have won 11 Oscars and for the longest time have claimed that second spot on the highest grossing film, the fact is we've always claimed we've always touted how we thought it could be remade, and that it's not a timeless classic, regardless of how popular it was. And so to me, that's been the biggest gripe that I have with James Cameron's movies, is that when you look at them, in terms of the depth, they're juvenile.
Yeah.
There's no substance there. And again, Avatar, you want to talk about, he created this 20 years ago? No, it was Fern Gully. It's Fern Gully with big blue CGI. Dances with Wolves
in space.
So it's BS that it's like the story was completely just, juvenile and childish. And at the end of the day, his character development is awful. And all the characters can be broken down. I mean, a 5th grader could do a better job at writing a story. Yeah. And so, I get sick and tired of him feeling like because he had these 2 movies at the top of the charts for so long, that he felt like he could.
He was like the greatest director.
Exactly, that he could tout that, he somehow.
That's
go
why.
ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I think that's what's so fun. Like, to me, that's why I feel so fitting that Avengers is what's knocking him down, is because several years ago he came out and said he was, he hoped people would get over these movies. He said, they're okay, they're fun, but he said they're not the only thing out there. There's better movies out there. Like, he would basically just kind of throw them to the side like they were just some popcorn flick that didn't matter. And it's like now they're coming in and dethroning him. And let's face it, whether you like it or not, I would say that those movies have been innovative. Nobody before Marvel had ever tried to create such a massive franchise. The de-aging and special effects, all that stuff. I mean, the Hulk, nobody saw anything like the Hulk until the first Avengers came out. I mean, that was... yes. You had Gollum in Lord of the Rings, but I feel like the Hulk was a natural progression of that.
Right.
That was incredible.
Right.
Like they took that technology and furthered it. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. All the way up to Thanos. We talk all the time about how amazing the stubble on Thanos is. So it's like they pushed the technology as far as they could, and I feel like James Cameron didn't push anything with Avatar. He just took what was already other than the 3D. You could argue maybe he pushed the 3D.
Yeah,
the
and
3D was awesome.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he created a language, but again,
He did create that.
after
he
had somebody
to create a language.
I'm just saying though, after he saw Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
and the languages and stuff that Tolkien created for that story, then he was like, oh, well, we're probably gonna have to have like,
Again, imitation.
our own-
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey,
And
but
but
it's better in Star Wars. All they then you get little subtitles. Of
Yeah.
Lay Jabba no bother. But no, again, exactly. I think a lot of this is the fact that I especially going back to the spectacle argument. To me, that's been the problem. Is I feel like James Cameron is a good marketer. I think he's brilliant at selling his vision and selling what it is. I think that's the thing about his stories. The reason why I think a lot of people, and not to bash, I mean that's why I'm happy to see in-game keep climbing the charts and hopefully get there someday to completely just wipe the floor with James Cameron's crap, is because I feel like they're worthy. And I feel like at least
they can hold Mjolnir. They're worthy.
They're worthy, yes, exactly. But no, I
just got Marvel puns all over the place.
Well, why not? We have to. I mean, it's going to be the #1 highest grossing film of all time. We hope. But I think ultimately the problem is that you have this movie that, of course, James Cameron was making fun of and this series, but I think it is finally reaching the depth at which you have popular mass audiences enjoying it.
Yep.
And then you also have the diehard Marvel fans enjoying it, and newcomers that are actually coming to the theaters to say, "Look, these are movies that have depth."
Oh, there's
and
a story
especially
there.
with
Yeah.
Endgame. I mean, it's a 3-hour film. It's a 3-hour epic, and it's like you actually watch this movie and you do feel connected to these characters. And it's like, to me, you had the spectacle
Granted, I would
with
say
Avatar.
the only reason you feel that depth with these characters, though, is because
You've seen 20 other
seen
films.
20 films.
Yeah.
But still,
if it was just Infinity War and Endgame, or even just the Avengers movies alone, I don't think you would have the same emotional connection.
True.
But
But
there's still more depth there than anything Cameron's created.
But to me, and that's why those other films are not at the top of the charts.
Yes.
They've climbed the charts,
this is the
and they're up.
culmination.
But this is the pinnacle of this entire 22 film saga, and because of that, I think you're now seeing the respects paid to these to not just Avengers, but to the entire MCU.
I feel like this is really the showcase of that ambition Marvel started all those years ago. Because I mean, Robert Downey Jr. said it years back when the first Avengers released. He said, "I think this is the most ambitious movie ever made," because nobody had taken several franchises and combined them like that.
Yeah,
and it's like no. Endgame is the most ambitious.
Yeah,
because,
they probably didn't see that.
22 film, a 22 film story is something nobody had ever done.
Well, James Cameron's going to do it with
Yeah.
Avatar.
well, that's what he's hoping. That's what I think is funny.
What I thought was funny about that article about these movies being delayed was it kept saying the dates, and then it kept saying Avatar 3, Avatar 4, Avatar 5, Avatar 6. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be like 8 pages long. Of course. Like, that's crazy that he's got all these movies already written and planned out.
And that's the other thing. It's like like you were just saying, the culmination, all 20-something films leading up to this mass event and why it deserves that top spot.
Yeah.
Avatar was the first movie, and literally I have not gone back. I've not seen the figures. I don't know if historically, what else it was up against throughout its entire theatrical run.
Right.
But it's so annoying that it's like it was the first film in this saga that we haven't even seen anything else from. And other than it being sold as a spectacle, and I think most people going to see it again and again as a spectacle, it's like that's all it was. It was a big marketing piece and a marketing ploy. And after the hype did die down, and after people did finally go see it enough times, I think after a while you saw... you've seen the backlash now against Avatar that, yes, maybe at its time when it came out, the spectacle that it was, but over time, it is nothing to be held.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why we've not only seen the delays, but we haven't seen anybody hankering for a new Avatar film. It's like, really, we could probably live without them.
You have so many science fiction and fantasy films that are popular now. I mean, this Lord of the Rings really started this huge boom with fantasy stories, and then you had... With Marvel, like this comic book and sci-fi.
Well, it's a boon with fantasy stories that could be taken seriously. And that mass audiences would enjoy.
They had something. It wasn't Willow, which I like, but I mean, it wasn't a movie with mass appeal. But yeah, and then you had Avatar come out, and it was something people hadn't, in cinema, people hadn't seen something like that before. So yeah, the spectacle brought them in, and it made all that money. But now that you have this massive franchise like Marvel, now that you have all these superhero movies and fantasy movies and sci-fi movies, it's like James Cameron would have to pull off something really amazing with these sequels to top himself.
Right.
It's like, Avatar was the highest grossing movie of all
See,
time,
and
but
that's the bigger question. Okay, that's the bigger question
Yes.
to me. Can he replicate that same kind of success? And I think that is the other thing is, even if they do come out when, in 2021 and they're not delayed another 4 years, I think what's funny about it is if you really think about it, it's like if the next one comes out and it's good, obviously you can bank off the success of the first one.
it'll make money.
And it'll make money, but let's say that it only cracks $1 billion.
Yeah.
And it's far shorter than that first one.
Yeah.
And even if the other ones come out and they're blockbusters, but they dwindle, it's like, what is James Cameron going to say? Be like, well, if we had released them a lot sooner, but the technology wasn't there, and we wanted to wait.
I couldn't go
Yeah.
to the bottom of the Mariana Trench and get all the info I needed from the movie.
Exactly. It's like, so I think that's the problem with the Avatar sequels is that I don't think they're going to be nearly as well regarded as the first one because of the spectacle the first one was, and because honestly, I don't think he can replicate that same thing. And I think people see Avatar, the original, for what it was.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stand up to the test of time. So I think over time you're going to see the fact that Avatar is releasing, yes, for Disney in these prime spots because they know it's going to sell.
Yeah.
And they're expecting and they're hoping.
But again, you notice
For-
they pushed the Avatar dates back. They weren't pushing Star Wars and Marvel
Nope.
aside
No,
because they
no.
knew
Nope.
Marvel and
That's-
Star Wars are their real money makers.
That's the money. Yeah, people have forgotten about Avatar.
Yeah.
I mean, to be perfectly
Exactly.
honest
That's
with you,
exactly.
I don't think they're going to have the same reception that they did the first time because the first time, like you said, it was extremely hyped, and I mean, you couldn't watch a minute of television without a trailer for that movie.
Yeah.
and it did make you want because it was like this is 3D like never before. It was good, but it wasn't like never before.
No.
Like I mean.
But
It
that's what
just
it was-
wasn't. It just wasn't.
that's
it
what it
wasn't
was branded
fantastic, but
as.
it was marketed that way. But man, you mentioned the movies that were out. Like when this,
Yes.
I will say, for him to make that much money,
With heavy hitters,
yeah.
what are
'cause-
some of the
okay?
heavy
Well,
hitters?
it came out in December of 2009.
Right.
That month, Up in the Air came out.
That wasn't going to be
that's
a
not
big.
a-
That's an indie flick, though.
Yeah,
That was a good movie. The
was-
Lovely
It
Bones.
was a
came
great
out.
movie, but In Lovely Bones was a
They're not
flop, pretty
blockbusters,
much.
yeah.
Here we go. Invictus came out.
Flop.
Yeah.
Flop, though.
Crazy Heart, Academy Award winner.
Yeah,
came
but
out.
all again,
But none
indie
of
flick,
those are-
indie flick.
and Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr.
Sherlock Holmes was a
blockbuster,
blockbuster, but even then, it only averaged. I think maybe it topped out at 200-300.
None of those movies made a lot
But
of
see,
money.
to me though, it still goes.
They were
back-
more popular. I mean, well, not
no,
more
no.
popular.
No.
They were better.
They were better movies,
You're
but
right.
yeah,
they
yeah,
were better
yeah.
movies, but they just because those were more Academy type films, and they
Yeah.
never make a lot of.
Well, and not only that,
dough.
but again, going back to
Other
the whole
than Sherlock
spectacle, that's
Holmes.
what Avatar was sold as. Avatar was sold as this is the movie you got to see this
Yeah.
holiday season. And
It's
then
like
you look at
Apple.
you'd have to look at all the other releases in the months to come to see what did they stand a chance
Yeah.
to or what were they up against with regards
January
to
and February.
January,
Well,
February,
that's the
leading
thing.
up to the summer blockbusters. And that's the thing. I haven't looked at those movies,
Yeah.
but I can guarantee you it enjoyed its long theatrical run because a lot of people were going to see it based on that spectacle. But Sean, I agree with you. I think it's been so long. Avatar is just, it's not something that's on people's radar anymore. And at the end of the day, when these other sequels come out, the reason they keep getting pushed back is, they have the money generated from the first movie.
against?
Hold on. They
Oh,
have
God.
the money. They have the money generated from the first movie to make these other sequels. But yeah, they're not gonna make as much money on these other films in the Avatar series. Go ahead.
So you want to know what it was up against in January 2009? Paul Blart Mall Cop, Pride Wars, Hotel for Dogs, and Notorious. It's like terrible movies. It's
well,
like,
no. But do you have any more? Do you have February? Let's
I
keep
can pull
going.
I can pull up February.
Why
but it's
not?
like, when
Because
your
I
movie's up against
guarantee
Paul
you-
Blart.
Well, wait a minute. We're gonna have to see what it was up against for like 3 years because he had it in theaters for like 3 years.
He kept re-releasing
We
it.
haven't even talked about that. We haven't even
Yeah.
talked about the fact that Titanic for the longest time was at the #1 spot, highest grossing
Right.
film with 1.6 billion.
Mhm.
The reason its total got ratcheted up to 2
2 was 'cause
billion
he re-released
was
it.
because he re-released it in 3D and with
Yep.
extended scenes. Again, it's freaking ridiculous.
There wasn't anything in February of 2009.
But
either.
Avatar was re-released for an extended cut.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The biggest movie to release February 2009, which still isn't like a big money maker, is Coraline. which
Oh.
was
No,
it
yeah,
was
but it
that was a
wasn't- it
popular
wasn't
kids
either.
movie, but it's not a movie that was going to make tons of money.
We just cracked it, man.
the
I'm
Pink-
telling you, we just cracked it.
You know what else
It's
released in
bad.
February 2009? The Pink Panther 2. It's
Yeah.
like Avatar or the Pink Panther
They
2.
made
Which one's
another
going to make money? Yeah.
And they didn't make another one after that.
Oh
They
God.
did. So it's like,
I think we cracked
right.
it, guys. I'm serious. I think that's what it is. It's like Avatar was the only thing in theaters for like 6 months.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
only thing worth
there's,
seeing.
there was the only thing, yeah. I mean, when, Push. I don't even remember what that was.
Push.
Based on the novel by
Yeah.
Sapphire.
The Friday the 13th remake. That was February 2009.
Well, Push was
Tyler Perry's Medea
Chris
goes
Evans,
to
wasn't it?
jail.
Push? No, I'm serious. Was that not?
no. It's a
not.
it's a
It was Chris
superhero
Evans.
kind of movie. It
Yeah.
was Chris Evans.
Yeah, it was Chris
yeah.
Evans.
Okay.
yeah.
And Dakota Fanning, right?
Mhm,
Yeah,
yep.
it's not a bad movie.
I'm trying to see what else was out because it's all terrible. Like I said, Tyler Perry's Medea goes to jail. I mean,
Yeah, no.
it's like
Again,
Avatar.
not-
who's
I swear, Tyler Perry's
uh,
Medea. That's like
Well, he just
Ernest.
retired.
I love
he just
those
retired.
Ernest.
I mean, they're not good, but I love them. They're hilarious.
They are. They're funny. They are funny. But it's like I think we cracked it, guys.
Yeah, let's
that's
get
what
off
it
the
is. All right.
JC train.
Well,
and
that's all
let's
we got to
get on.
talk about him. Look, he's gonna die. He's gonna die.
That's what
before-
Disney's. That might be
before
what they're hoping for.
Avatar.
Well, no, they can't be hoping for that because they have an Avatar world that
Yeah,
you
they
can
do.
go through at Disney World.
Yeah.
Again,
So-
though, I think all this crap is all funded by James Cameron.
Yeah.
He did get all that crap ton of money from the first one, and
Yeah.
now he's like, we're gonna create all this world and
Well,
all of this shit
he's gonna
out of
have
it.
to market the second one as big as the first to
Oh,
get
yeah.
people to remember.
doubt.
You know, I mean, it's gonna have to be like the first film made at the bottom of the ocean. Like, I mean, it's gonna have to be like we
Yes.
filmed the whole movie in the Marianas Trench
Yes.
or whatever. Like,
Well,
we,
and I'm-
we sank the biggest lights so
He's,
that this
he's
movie
gonna
could be
have
made.
to actually go up into space and shoot parts of like the third and fourth film up
Right.
on the
No,
moon.
he's gonna
Yeah.
have to. I mean, there's gonna have to be like live cameras
Yeah.
that it cuts to in the middle of the movie,
Yeah.
and you see live footage from the Marianas Trench
and you see
from
Megalodon.
space.
Megalodon.
Yes.
The Meg is down there.
All right, guys, I think we cracked the code. We know that Avatar is not as good as it has, even though it's held that top spot for the longest time,
Too long.
way too long. So I think man, this show is moving by so quick.
You're moving by
I
so
mean, with
quick.
the weekly segment, we're gonna
Yeah.
be, right
Yeah,
at about an hour.
We're good.
I
We
think
got
we're
it.
ready to hit that opening.
Yeah.
segment.
Hit
Y'all
that.
ready?
I'm ready to
Yeah.
hit that.
Let's hit it.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yes.
Never gets old.
It doesn't.
I
love it.
like it.
You like that intro
I
there?
like it.
Y'all know what? Did y'all even read this week's topic?
I've read it.
I haven't.
Did you just read it like
just
while
read
we
it
were
right now.
It's all right.
Please, someone tell me.
Do you think it's a good one, Sean? Do you think? Do you
I would have
approve?
changed it.
You would have.
Oh,
No, I'm just
gosh.
kidding. No, it's
Oh,
good.
I
That's
gotta-
good.
I
I
gotta-
like reading them
I
right
gotta
before
read
we're
it
getting ready
now.
to do it because I don't want to be prepared.
Keith's reading it right now.
I gotta read it now.
I'm
I
gonna
don't know
pop
what
it up on
is.
screen, even though you
Ooh.
won't be able to see what's on
Bounce
Oh
it up
my
there.
goodness! What do we got? What
You
do
want
we
me
got?
just to read it?
Oh,
It's-
there it is.
Uh-oh. Everybody
Oh,
can
actually,
see.
I like that one.
It's like everybody's already read it 3 times.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
like that one.
So the question is, yes, how often do you let your mood rule your attitude?
Every day.
Every
Every
day.
day.
Often, too often.
Mm,
Yes.
Mm,
That's not good.
Yeah.
You do it too. Don't deny.
I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Of course I do. But
Uh,
okay, so yeah. Okay, you
More
say-
often than I'd like.
Okay, explain that, Keith.
Well, I have a lot of everybody does. I don't want to say I do because let's face it, everybody has a lot going on in their lives, and everybody always, you're the center of your own world, whether you want to admit it or not. Everybody thinks of themselves as in their own little movie. And so, I mean, I'm just saying,
This is true.
It's true. It's true. And you don't often think of other people's problems the way we probably should.
Right.
But I mean, like I said, I like anybody else have stress that I have to deal with. And sometimes, I let it get the better of me.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's not always stress. I mean, there's days when my mood's terrific, and it affects. I mean, it makes the day even better if I actually am happy. It kind of like goes around everybody, because moods affect other people as well.
Exactly.
If you're
yeah.
miserable, you're gonna bring down the person next to you,
Yeah.
and then it just keeps going around. Same thing as if you're happy, even if you're not happy, if you act
your
happy,
hands.
you can be happy. But yeah, there's a lot of times when I forget, like we've had this conversation in the past, but like when you kind of forget who's really in charge, and you're just like, I got this happening, and then I have to deal with this, and there's no way I'm gonna be able to get all these things taken care of.
It gets
and
the
then,
best
then
of
you
you.
kind of get sour, and then sometimes whatever you're doing, whether you're interacting with somebody else, you might be a little shorter than you intended to, and it's not necessarily a good. I mean, it's not a good thing. I shouldn't say necessarily. Oh, it's not a good thing. But yeah, it does. I mean, I know it happens, and it's one thing that I am actively trying to make better of myself. And the key to that, I feel, is to remember who is in charge. And one thing that I try to remind myself is to pray often, because I feel like no, I'm serious.
No, I agree completely.
On the
I saw
on the
that on a
days,
bumper sticker.
yeah, and it's corny. It was as cliche as it sounds. Sometimes when you just stop and say, "Okay, God, take it from here," it does make things so much better. It's just the fact of that resistance that sometimes when you're stooped in your own
like that
stupidity,
the release of just knowing that it's not in your control.
Right.
And some people say it's a cop out, but it's like, okay,
well, it's a cop out that makes
It
things
feels
better.
good. I mean, it's a cop out that feels good.
Well, but
feels
also it's
good.
just the reason it feels good is because it's like you finally release the pressure and the tension and the stress
it's off of your shoulders. yeah.
Exactly. But going back to like what you were talking about, just talking about that stress and that
Sometimes stress makes me angry, and then I'm angry towards people that, like, I'm not angry at them, but because I'm angry,
it comes across that wrong
I
way.
might say something or that I'm not intending to like direct any malice towards them, because I'm not mad at them at all, but they can hear it in my voice or see it in my body language, and then they feel like well, he's pissed at me about something. It's like, I'm not. I just I'm acting that way because I'm stressed about something else, and it just makes things worse in those relationships. And that's when, like I said, you have to realize.
I was going to say, because that's the thing. The real question here is not only just how often you do it, but then should you? And should you?
No, you shouldn't,
Which I was going to say, easier said than done. But I think the more conscientious you are of your mood and how it is ruling your attitude, it's like the better off you are at checking yourself and saying, okay, well, if you do snap at somebody, or if you do catch yourself in like a situation where, I mean, like, I have really bad road rage, and I know it, but oftentimes,
you do.
The reason why I'm okay with admitting it is because most of the time I can yell and rant and rave in my own car, and it's just me,
and nobody sees you.
Exactly, and nobody sees me.
So you plow right into somebody.
Well, that's true, and that's when it gets a little. That's when your mood affects your attitude, affects your actions. So it's like, but that's the thing.
I saw that on a bumper sticker too.
Shit happens. So that's a bumper sticker.
I have that one on my car.
Forrest Gump, he invented that.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. But the thing is I think the moment that you stop allowing you stop thinking about it that way, and you stop thinking, oh, I should be conscious of what my mood is the moment that you then kind of wear your feelings on your sleeve, and that's the problem. Then it becomes an issue for everybody else. And then the problem there, I like what you said, Keith, because I completely agree. You create your own happiness. And it's like when you're in an unhappy mood, like, you can't
Just
blame anybody else but
angry,
yourself
just
for
eat
that.
a Snickers, You're
Yeah,
good.
that's right. And then you're not old anymore either.
Yeah.
Sean, do you have any comments on this?
I mean, like I agree with Keith. I let it overrun me more often than I should. But I mean, with kids, that can get you in a mood.
That's true.
And then and that can affect your attitude.
They
but
test your patience.
They do, yeah. And when you don't have any, then there's not much to test.
That's when you just backhand him and say, sit down and shut up.
Yeah, I haven't hit them yet. Like, not
that's
that
good.
way.
That's
not
good.
that way.
No, that's a good thing.
But no, I agree. There's many times during the day, especially almost every day, where something just kind of knocks me off my rocker, and I get mad or whatever, whether it's driving or whether it's something one of the kids are doing, or something that breaks at the house, or something going on at work, or I mean, it's always like something that being hungry is my biggest one. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Hangry.
Like
Everybody
if
says
I'm hungry and I can't eat, like that, because I'm fat. Like, I mean, I gotta eat.
You gotta eat,
and it really does get me irritated, and then that bleeds off onto other people. Like right now, I really have to go to the bathroom. And
so we got to wrap this show up.
It is kind of changing my attitude towards when we
He's
get done with
pissed.
this.
Oh my
And
goodness.
he's gotta
So,
piss.
He's gonna
No,
go
it ain't-
off.
It ain't pee.
He's gotta.
It ain't pee.
Hey, shit happens.
it's about to happen on the show live. I'm gonna move the camera down here.
Oh,
Show it. Stop! Don't poke me. I'm telling you, I'll splat.
Oh man.
He's got the Hershey squirts
No,
going
no,
on.
it definitely can become a problem. I think it's a good question for the vices segment because it can definitely be something that we allow.
That's the
And
other
that's
thing
the-
too. Yeah,
it's almost like sometimes we willingly allow it to
Right.
get the best of us.
well, and again, going back to that
Actually,
bigger question.
yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying,
Yes.
there's days where I'm angry and I just want to be angry.
Yeah.
And that's not and that is a vice because there's days where it's like, you know what, I just want to be left alone and be pissed off at
Yeah.
everybody, and then people try to like pull you out of that mood, and then you're an a-hole to people because it's like you're
No,
enjoying.
just let me have my day of piss.
Yeah,
being
you're,
pissed
you're,
off.
you're,
And
you're
I
enjoying.
don't see anything wrong with
you're
that.
enjoying
I think
being angry.
if you hold it in all the time,
Oh.
then when you finally do, get a chance
Have
to
a
release it,
release.
yeah, it's going to be really bad. It's going to be destructive.
See, I think that's the weird
And-
part that I hate is because I agree. I think it does get to a boiling point.
Yeah.
And it's like when you do hold it in, it's like it seems like because it's human nature that we have that boiling point and that we have an issue where eventually it's gonna boil over, and then you just want to let it out or release it, or like
right
you said,
now, I
Keith
gotta
kind of
release it. Like it's about to
Just
boil out.
over.
It's gonna boil
Oh,
out.
crap!
It's hot
Really?
too. I can feel it.
Oh no!
All right.
No, we're wrapping it up. Don't
Keep
worry,
going,
we're getting
keep
there. We're
going.
getting there to the end. But I really do think it sucks because it's like you said, Keith. But sometimes you want to be
Yeah.
closed off to society and closed off to people, and you do want to just kind of be left alone. And sometimes I think it's a good thing because you don't want it to affect other people. But then that affects you because it's like you said, if you do end up around other people that kind of want to influence you in a positive manner and you're trying to shut that out, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think as long as you're constantly keeping yourself in check, and it's like, for me, it is a human nature where unfortunately you can't be happy all the time. Like crap does happen. And like in Sean's case, it's about to happen.
I'm laughing at the comments people are putting on here. It's pretty funny.
Well, I got a bidet, man. So you're
Oh,
all
I
good.
know.
And you're going to use it, aren't you?
Oh, it's necessary. I can just tell you that right now.
So really, I think I think the rule of thumb is that as long as you're willing to make sure you're putting yourself in check, and that you're also constantly not only aware of your mood, but that you have more positive days and you have more intentionally happy days to make sure that
Yeah.
these days are long.
It's like when I get out of the shower, right on my mirror, it just says, "Don't worry,
Be happy.
be happy." I'm lying.
That's lying.
I'm lying.
Like,
There's
no.
nothing there. I get out of the shower, look at myself, and I'm like, I still look like this.
God. Oh gosh.
That's terrible.
And then you get into just a terrible
No,
mood.
not,
don't you?
not to prolong this much more, but let me ask you this. Is
Yeah.
there ever a time when letting that boil over is beneficial? Because I'm sitting here thinking there's times when people have got me in a mood where if I'm quiet, it's going to continue to happen. But if I let it tip over and go off a little bit, it's going to put an end to
Right.
it and make them a better person. Like with Keith's work, I've
Well-
told him time and time again, at some point, you got to tell some of these people, like, grow up. You're an adult.
Right.
Get to work. Find
Well,
a ride.
and, yeah.
Or whatever you got to do. At some point, you got to be mean.
Well, I think
to
that's
get your-
assuming that being. It's not about being mean. It's
No,
about
well,
being
yeah,
like,
I
yeah,
said
exactly,
that wrong. But
authoritative.
being, yeah.
And I think that's the thing is to take a bad mood is it's like we generalize what a bad mood is. Like a bad mood can be if you're happy. If the freaking 9/11 just happened and you're just in a happy hunky dory mood,
There's
that's
a
a bad
problem.
mood.
That's
You
Ted Bundy.
shouldn't exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, well, then you have a problem of not having the correct or
It's like, what's going over there? Oh, the Holocaust. That's nice. That's
I'm going to go watch that.
oh my god.
it's like that's not a good thing. Exactly.
No.
Then
Yeah.
you're Adolf Hitler.
Exactly. It's not a great thing at all. So I think it's a good thing that in those moments it's like it's not about being mad or angry.
Well, I'm
it's
saying
about being
at that
justified
moment,
in your action.
These
Yeah.
people may have gotten you in that mood.
True.
And then you allow it to just come out right then and there.
Right.
And it's like, I'm going to put a stop to this. I mean, there's, I don't know, there's
I was
been
gonna say-
times when driving, somebody's really pissed me off, and I'm like, if I get out and point my gun at them, they're not going to do that anymore. But I don't do it, obviously.
Well, you don't know if they're going to point their gun
That's
at you.
that's part of the issue. It's like,
Exactly.
you know,
I'll
when
go
you're
to
driving
jail.
in Louisville, it's like they might point two back at you. So
just an angry white man.
yeah, that's right.
But the thing is to hit on that point, I think it's like that's why you have to put your mood in check.
Yeah.
It's like you do have those moments where you're justified as long as your anger isn't to the point of it being vindictive or being personal. And it's like if you're attacking them
get a point
on
across at some
action
point.
and you're saying, hey, your action's out of line, then no, I don't think you're in the wrong for doing that.
Right.
It's when you attack them personally or you're spiteful
that
then your mood is affecting your attitude, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
And I think that can be...
Look, Keith had a bad day at work a couple weeks ago, and I texted just joking.
Oh,
and he
yeah.
snapped at me
I
in
did.
texting,
Ooh,
and then I
yeah,
snapped
you did.
back
We all
because I was happy,
Exactly.
and I was trying to cheer him up and make a joke, and then he snapped, and I'm like, well, you know what? I'm gonna snap back.
Right.
And then finally it had to like diffuse
Right.
because we both realized that we're just feeding off of each other's pissed off.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. And then
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the other problem is then it spirals.
But yeah,
And then it gets out of control because now it's like now you're constantly back and forth. Again, it becomes spiteful.
right.
It
Because I poured
escapes-
sugar in your gas tank over it. Like you didn't
Yeah.
even do anything. I
Yeah.
don't even know why I did that.
Right.
So-
And that's the problem is
I peed in
then
your
your
coffee, but,
attitude.
you know.
You did what?
I don't know.
Pissed in his Wheaties.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's the problem is that if you let it get to the point where it affects you all the time, again, you then become spiteful, and then it gets away from being effective in diluting or diminishing the problem. It ends up creating a bigger issue or bigger hassle. Great episode, guys.
That
Man,
was a good
was
question.
fantastic.
For once, that was a great
Oh
question.
well, thanks. I try what I can.
Sometimes we read the question and it's just like,
What?
let's come up with another one real quick.
Yeah.
Like,
But I
30
enjoyed
seconds
that
before the
one.
show starts, we're coming up with another one. But Brandon, you did good.
Oh well, thank you. Thank
love
you.
it.
It's-
I
You
love
done adequate. You done adequate.
Yes.
Thanks, Keith. I appreciate that.
Good.
Does that wrap up our episode and our Vices
See,
segment there?
we're getting him in that mood now.
Oh, he's
He's getting ready to lash out.
He is, but he does so often that I just
Yeah.
I've grown used
You know what
to
he's
it.
gonna do? He's gonna like go on TV and not invite us. That's
Well,
what he's gonna
that's
do.
normal for him too. He's just this selfish, angry man who smacks his lips.
They call that a spite.
Say we met our cussing limit on this show.
They call that
do
a
anymore.
bad name.
All right.
All right, guys. So, hey, Sean, what if one of our multiple watchers, viewers, listeners, whatever out there, they wanted to reach us, talk to us?
Well, they would have to pick up the phone and dial 555-5555. That's 555-5555.
That sounds legitimate.
Yeah. Or they could email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Where?
What?
Where?
You didn't even wait for me to finish.
I know.
rmpodcast
I don't like to wait to
at
finish.
redmoonproductions.com.
Where could you see that at?
Probably like
Right there. You got it.
Right.
Boom, boom. Oh.
I don't believe you.
Well, it's there. I can't see it, but he says it's there, and
What
he's
about
the
you,
director.
Keith?
So
Can you see it?
Is it there?
no,
I'm so confused.
it's on your chest.
Oh, there it is.
That's it.
Right
You
there.
got it.
I'm gonna tickle it. Yeah, tickle.
All right, that's right, guys. As always, email us at rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Yes.
It's been another great episode.
Our light needs batteries.
Oh shit!
going out.
It does, and I also just
You-
messed up lowers
you
again.
pushed
Oh my
us-
gosh, I'm messing
Oh
up
my-
lowers.
you
every
also-
time.
and you
just
put
put
us.
I
You put us
did.
from PG to PG-13.
I
We
did.
have
I'm
a parental
sorry.
advisory now on our.
Now
on
we
our
can all get
show.
our penises out and throw them around, though.
Go-
we can
wait,
show
wait.
nudity now.
We're going for full frontal as long as it's not sexual. That's PG-13.
Well,
Are you willing to do that, Sean?
And you get one F word.
if I get it out, I'm using it. So that's it.
Well, we went from PG to
Rated R.
NC-17, so
we went from straight to
TVMA.
Grand Theft Auto, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
All right, guys. Until next time, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham. Frigid yelping, peach-smitten, botanical conch pandas, flip-popping, brow-beaten wood tonkas.
and until next time, we'll see,
See
you
you
at
at
the
the
movies.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.